everyone. Once again, welcome to my go-to shoe, Faith, Hope, and Love, A Journey Through Loss, Live On, Strengthen Soul. And of course, before we get started, like, subscribe, and share. Touch the notification button so you know when I'm coming back, okay? Anyway, I have a very special series this next month and a half. It'll go past probably March, of course, because March is just about done, so it'll go into April. But we're going to celebrate women. So we're really celebrating International Women's History Month, which is in March. So that's going to be over soon. But I have a few interviews that I'm going to share with you that I've done with some very special ladies. So I'm hoping that you all please stop by and listen for International Women's History Month and beyond, because we celebrate women every single day of the year. So I'm looking forward to that time with you. So listen and be blessed. Well, tonight we have a very special guest. I had told you last time I mentioned we were going to celebrate International Women's History Month this month, and it'll probably go into April because I have several women I'm going to be interviewing. So not several, but a few, and we may get past March. But I would like to first, for tonight, I want to introduce you to Divya Venkatachari. Venkatachari. Did I say that right, Divya?
Very close. Very close.
Say your last name so they can hear it properly.
Venkatachari.
Venkatachari. Oh, I
It's a
said it right.
mouthful.
It is a mouthful, Venkatachari. And just to let you know a little bit about Divya. Divya and I used to work together in as a WSSC Water Company several years ago, and we actually sat next to each other and developed a relationship. So she's a dear friend of mine, and I'm really excited to have her on tonight to talk about International Women's History Month. And I have a couple. There's some questions we're gonna talk about. We're gonna ask, and she's gonna respond, and we're just gonna have a good time tonight. So you can say hello to everyone, Divya.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. It's so good to be here, Miss Pauline. I think we're going on year 8.
Is it that long?
I think it was May of 2018 that we
That's
became
true.
desk mates. And like every day before 2 p.m., we had tea. We had Mr. Walker's cookies. And so now, like, I can't have Mr. Walker's without you.
Aw, that's so
It's just
special.
a thing.
We did have something special going on there with the tea and cookies. Yeah, guys, you ought to
We were
try that.
spilling the tea in a different
We're
way. Now we spill different tea.
That's right. That's so true. Oh my gosh, that's a fond memory though to remember though. So, and when I think about International Women's History Month, and I think about all the things that different women do and what they've accomplished, I just thought you'd be a good person to bring on and share some of your personal journey about what things that you've gone through and some things that it been helpful to you when you have different women in your life that made it special. So I have a couple questions I want to ask, and we'll just kind of go back and forth and just kind of get a feel for how this is going to be smoothed out, and my editor will get it all nice for us.
All right.
So the first question I have for you, if you wouldn't mind, kind of just tell us what shaped your career, your self-discovery in yourself, and how you became good at what you do in your line of work. And first, before I go there, let them know what you do.
Oh, okay.
That'd be helpful.
Yes. All right. So I currently work at a consulting firm in a function called partner enablement, where basically we have a lot of tech partners, and I work with them to make sure that all of the team members at my company are trained, upskilled, so that we can ultimately go deliver some amazing work to our clients. But to answer your question around what shaped my career, I'm actually going to have to take it way back to pre-career times,
Right, right.
because I think that my upbringing and sort of my that journey has really shaped how I've navigated my career as well. So quick story is that I was born in upstate New York. I am the child of I'm a first generation, so my parents are immigrants. Came here from India in the late 70s, early 80s. And then for the first maybe 9 years of my life, we moved around a ton. I think every year or two we were moving to a different city because my dad had finished his postdoc. And so then, we were kind of moving to all these small university towns. And then around when I was 9, we settled down in Maryland. So that's primarily where I grew up. I went to college there. I actually studied finance in undergrad, which is absolutely not what I do at all. Don't do
Right.
it at all. Do not ask me about investing because I will tell you wrong advice. And then after undergrad, I can kind of continue this journey of, I don't want to call it nomadic, but I moved around. So right after undergrad, I was in New York City. Eventually made my way to San Francisco. Was in Los Angeles for business school, which is where I currently reside now. But then I kind of popped back to the East Coast, moved down to Miami, and then now I'm here in LA. And so the reason I bring that up is because throughout my upbringing, I was, by virtue of moving around a lot, I was also an only child until I was 17. I
Oh,
have a dear, dear younger sister now. She's also probably my best friend, and she's 23, or she will be 23 shortly. So, but all of that, going back to your question, which was what has been shaping my career, is that I had kind of these experiences where I was constantly put in new environments, sort of not reinventing myself, but learning to navigate a new space. And so I think that helped me to become very sort of self-sufficient and resilient. So now in my adult life and in my career, when I'm doing different things, it almost feels like second nature.
ooh, that's excellent, though.
So yeah, so in terms of my career journey itself, I started in finance. I was on Wall Street in New York City. I thought that was going to be my path. I thought I was just going to work my way up the ranks, make it to vice president at the
Mm,
company, which was like one of the titles there. And then just kind of train into the city. That is what I wanted to do. That is absolutely not what my life has been.
wow. Okay.
Because I moved around, I've taken on different functions, never thought that I would be in tech, never thought that partner enablement was a thing,
Hmm.
but kind of through different experiences found my way here. But there were always these common threads, whether it was skills, whether it was this ability to connect different dots, whether it was relating with people. Through all these experiences, I was kind of able to take those with me to help me succeed in what I'm doing.
That's outstanding. It's interesting on the several paths that you took. This podcast is my go-to shoe, and it's a journey. It's a journey through loss, but it's really a journey through life in the life that we live, and how different it is each segment, each season of the journey. There's something new and different. And listening to you, I mean, you're very young still, and so it's like
Thanks. You saw the retinol and the hydration.
I look, it looks good on you. But it's interesting, the different paths we take. It's like it's so individual, right? That path for you is just for you and you only. And I think find that very special. That as we walk this journey through life, the different things that we go through make us who we become. How we started out, that's part of who we become as we become adults. And like you said, you started out in upstate New York, and now you're over in LA, and you just been all over the whole United States. So especially when you think about your parents, where they originally came from, India. That's You've been around the world. So
Yeah,
you've been
yeah.
around the
I'm
world.
very, very fortunate, very lucky.
So when I think about, you have been fortunate. When you think about the women in your life,
hmm
who would you say most was the most influenced person in your life when it came to the women in your life? Who
I
inspired you? Who inspired you, and who was the inspirational figure that really brought you to who you are today as well?
Yeah, so many, but like if I have to pick one, and I don't want it to be a cliche answer, but it kind of is, it's my mom. Because I think about the journey that she had to take to even get to the United States, right? She moved when she was 26, but it was because she got married, and she kind of knew my dad, but not really, but literally hopped across the ocean.
Mm,
There were so many challenges that she had to navigate on her own, whether it was like a new relationship, a new country, a new
right.
environment, all of this sort of stuff. Navigating that on my own and on her own, And then even over the course of time, so my parents both were scientists by trade, but
Mm-hmm.
then in the late 90s, they switched careers into tech. And so my dad, first, he went to India for like 3 months and earned like these developer certifications, and then he pivoted careers from what his PhD was in. And then my mom followed suit and went to this intense like boot camp in Northern Virginia for like, I want to say it was like 9 months in 2000. And then she also flipped. And so
Hmm.
think
Okay.
about like in the early 2000s, they, or like she and especially my mom, like raising a family, raising a daughter, and changing careers and continuing to maintain the household. And then she pivoted again in like early 2020, pivoted again to another career. And I think about the resilience that she's had to show through so many of the ups and downs, even going back to my childhood, right? We moved around almost every 1 or 2 years. Part of it, Miss Pauline, like being quite candid, we were like, crap, we don't want to get deported because we're on H-1B visa. And it was like fighting to stay in this country because my parents were trying to make a better life for me and trying to
Mm.
pave the way for our other family members compared to
That's
the lives that they could live in India. So it's a cliche answer, but it is also the most
it's a
genuine.
true answer. It's a true
It's
answer.
my mom. And
And
I,
I think. Oh, I'm sorry.
oh,
Well,
yeah,
real
no, go
quick.
ahead, go ahead.
So when I think about your life, when you were explaining all that you had done and moved and moved around several different places, it was almost identical to what your mom did, coming from a whole other country, which is totally different. Because, and I always say totally different. It's getting used to a whole new culture when you get here. Like she was accustomed to where she had come from, and now she's coming to the U.S. with a new husband and new family, and so her role had to pivot quite a bit, which is very similar to your role too, as well.
Yeah, but like Miss Pauline, I feel like I maybe have 10% of the strength that my mom
Ah.
demonstrated because, like, for what it's worth, right, she couldn't contact her mom or her dad or her sisters on a whim. It was like to call India at that time, it was costing like $5 a minute or something. So, like, it was
Yeah.
very, like, and my dad was barely making 20 grand a year. So, you can't be spending $5 on a phone call. So it's like very quick. It was called snail mail. There were these blue, it was called aerogram, these blue like telegram type things that you would send internationally. It's a 3 month delay maybe by
Oh my.
when the actual letter gets to India. Compared to me, I am by the time I left home, I'm cell phone calling them. I had my Motorola Razor, like
Right, right.
cell phone calling. We've in a generation of like now FaceTime and Zoom, like the level of connectivity that I have with my family is exponentially like way more than what she had. And so she really had to get hers in on, had to get her faith on, and had to really tap into her inner strength, which
What
I
would
feel
you say
coddled compared to
was,
what she had to do.
but when you think about it, what would you say was the one lesson? We'll just say one, because I'm sure she taught several lessons that you could just view and just see her life and how and you received lessons from your mom. But what was the one main lesson that you remember that you really took from your experience as you become a young adult, as you became a young adult?
Faith. My mother, I credit her 100% with instilling a sense of faith in me. And you and I talk about this, right? It's not necessarily about religion, but it's about that faith and that belief in something bigger and greater
Hmm.
than ourselves. That in those moments, like that is what I lean on. And she instilled that in me as I grew up. And I think I might have left it, or not left it, but I didn't lean as heavily into it maybe in my teenage years and through college. But it was in my mid 20s that because I had an experience that really forced me to tap back into faith. And since my mid 20s, it's now only grown a lot in the last
Mm.
15 years.
Wow. It's funny, our faith walk has a lot to do with the experiences that we have in life, which makes our faith much stronger. Absolutely. So, what would you say, talking about faith and challenges, what would you say what has been one of your greatest challenges that you had to overcome in your career, your personal life, either way, it's either one you can think of. Just a significant challenge that you faced as a woman. When I say, because in your field, in your line of work as a woman.
Um, so I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if I've specifically kind of categorized challenges in that way. Part of what I try to do is I don't try to look like if I label certain things as this is happening to me because of X, then that is the only thing that I'll see, and then it won't help me to actually rise up to the challenge. And so, specifically, what I mean to say is like, perhaps there were opportunities that I've been overlooked for because I'm a woman, but I didn't even put that label on it because I don't feel that being a woman is a detriment. I'm like, I think it's my superpower. I think if anything, just mentally, like physiologically, I think we are really, really strong and resilient in so many ways by nature, by design. So I fundamentally view it as a superpower. So I'm like, I don't see it that way, but in terms of a general challenge, and this is the one that really, really enhanced my faith, was that it was actually getting let go from a job when I was 24,
Mm.
and then having a series of what I branded as career failures because I couldn't, that job, it was like a really illustrious organization. It was one that was probably like the kind of like the golden child to work at. And I was so excited to move out to San Francisco for this job. But fundamentally, I was not really great at my role.
Okay.
Very quickly into that role.
What type of role was it that you? What type of job was this?
Yeah, so it was in finance.
Okay.
And it was very like quant heavy. And I was like, well, I'm Indian. I can do math, except I couldn't do math as fast as they needed me to at the level they needed me to. But I was really good at kind of like the business partnering and the talking. So I was able to talk myself into this role.
Mm.
But then when I got into the function itself, I was really struggling.
Okay.
Within 2 weeks, I started getting like weird health issues, stomach aches, and things, which just kind of propagated. And so eventually, when I was asked to leave about 10 months after starting, it was like, oh, yeah, like I think this is a good move. But it also caused this like identity crisis for me because I've always been type A. I was like like star student all through undergrad and, all through work. And so it was my first time kind of at age 24 coming to face with this sense of failing and not living up to expectations that I had put upon myself.
Right. Right.
And then after that, it took a while for my health to recover. And it took 2 years for me to find my next thing. I didn't get a job. I was living at home.
You moved back home to your with your parents then.
Yeah, I was with my parents, but it was one of those things where also like from a cultural perspective, right? Like at this point, I'm 26 and it's like I have no job. I am not married. I had gone from living in New York and San Francisco to Elkridge, Maryland. And it is like, what are you doing? Like, what is going on? And it was this kind of like, moment. And it was one where I just, it was like my kind of like rock bottom. There was a day where I had this, it wasn't a fight with my parents, but I could just tell they were so sad and didn't know how to help me. And
Right.
seeing them sad made me really sad. I was like, oh my God, what do I do? But luckily, I was really fortunate because my dad, we had a very good family friend who my dad was like, hey, like talk to this friend of ours. Maybe he can help guide you. And after chatting with him, I felt really inspired to try to apply. I had applied to business school the year before. I didn't get in. But when I spoke with him, I was like, you know what? I am going to give this thing another go. I'm going to try. I had taken my GMATs when I was an undergrad already, so my scores were valid. Um, and I had basically a 4 week window where I could get into final rounds of applications at that point. And I was all right, let's go. And this is where, in this time, by the way, my spiritual kind of explorations have begun.
Mm. Okay.
where I've started to dive into just different types of content, whether it was kind of new age, like reading, whether it was through listening to spiritual talks, some of the stuff from the Hindu faith. And this is where, again, I believe it was divine intervention.
And now you are Hindu, right? You are
I am
Hindu, right?
Hindu, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. I think it was divine intervention because I had submitted my application to UCLA. And I was like, all right, like God, it's in your hands kind of thing. And couldn't be more than a week later, I get a random LinkedIn message from an old family friend of ours who I hadn't spoken to in 4 or 5 years, maybe. And he was like, hey, Divya, I haven't heard from you. Just wanted to check in. How are you? And when I clicked on his profile, I saw that he was the head of the endowment at UCLA Business School.
Mm.
I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, hey, like I actually just applied. Is there anything I can do to improve my candidacy? I would love to get out to LA. And he connected me with the assistant dean. And that was my in to school. Now, granted, after the fact, I had massive imposter syndrome. That's a separate Divya problem. But the truth is that God and the divine was looking out for me, and helped to navigate me to LA the first time. So
Wow. So that's an exciting transition because I'm thinking about, I think people, especially now when people are losing jobs day in and day out, and it's in mass jobs at some point in people's lives and their families, and it changes everything. And if you've got children and family to take care of, that's a whole nother thing. But I think the one attribute that you definitely have is you didn't give up,
yeah, and I mean, I'm making it look rosy now, right? Like it's like 12, 13 years later.
right?
There were definitely some low moments, but I realized that I had a choice, right? Like if I chose to be sad and depressed every day, that is what my story would be, and it would be that story every day. Or if I could find little moments that could uplift and bring joy, that's what my story would be. And so, one of the things that I did actually that I'm so glad I took the chance to do was because when I moved home, I was 24. I left again soon after I turned 27. So, I was home for about like 2 years, 2.5. And I was like, my parents are human. Like it was the first time, not that my parents are human beings. That sounds so funny. But it was this conscious decision that I wanted to connect with my parents and
Hmm.
learn about them in a new way. And so my mom and I, we started taking swim lessons together.
Ah.
That was in 2012. And mind you, I can't speak for her, but I still don't know how to swim. I like did not do well in those lessons. But it was my chance to like bond with my mom.
And I think that's one of the things I think happens though during those times like this, when times like these, when you lose jobs or different challenges come in our lives that we're not expecting. You'll have something that just out of the ordinary happens to you as a person, and then all of a sudden you'll start to find ways to begin to connect in different ways with each other. And I think it's beautiful because then you can to connect, like you said, you saw your parents in a new way,
Yeah.
right? You saw them differently. You were more of an adult too. You were a little older, so that was different as well. So I think it's so important for as we grow in life to be open to these new plateaus and new adjustments as we go through life.
Yeah. And to your point, right? I think like we get to play different roles at different stages.
That's right. That's right.
And
Absolutely.
so it's always being open to that and conscious of that, and to not say, oh, like, oh, I'm supposed to be like crushing it at work and I'm supposed to be doing X, but instead saying, hey, this is the opportunity that life is giving me right now. How can I maybe lean into this and
So you,
find fulfillment in a different way that now
so
down
you're
the line, you know?
Well, it seems as though you're able to have that self-talk to yourself on a regular basis. I hear that when you're going through, you're saying, well, I needed to do something different. I knew I had to take a different path. I knew I had to learn to do something different. And I think that that's what has to happen. You have to have that self-talk in yourself to be able to continue to help yourself move forward, because like you had that conversation with a family friend, which was a great, because that's that networking piece, right? That's that networking piece that we have throughout these relationships that we form as adults. But then when you had that relationship with him, and then you're having that conversation, you realize that spurred you on to motivate you to do something. But even once you're motivated, you still had to continue that motivation going forward. Because I think so many times, so many people get paralysis and they just stop. They just stop and they don't move forward. And when it comes to a job, you can't. So you were in finance first. Yeah, that was you thought you were going to be doing finance, but then when you got there, you said, "Wait a minute, this is not it."
Isn't that it?
And they let you know, no, this is not it. We love you, but this is not it. And you
Yeah.
found what you really were good at. So I think one of the lessons here is that when we lose jobs that all of a sudden it's not what we thought it was, or it doesn't work out like we think it's like the best thing since sliced bread, we have to be open to that new experience, have
Yeah.
to be open to and see ourselves in who, well, wait a minute, maybe I'm really good at this. And you saw, because you even said when you were talking about how you could see that you were good at the conversational portion of the job when you were speaking to others and to get them to do things that they needed to do. So I think that's, you found your gift.
Yeah, and even today, that's the part of my job that I love. It's getting to connect with people. It's getting to know more about them. It's that like that connection piece. That's the part of my job that energizes me the most.
See, see, that's awesome. So now let's kind of flip a little bit. I
Yeah.
know you have a sister who's younger. And how do you contribute to her and your legacy, how it contributes to her, what she'll be doing? I mean, what do you see? Because she's at that age where she's really looking at you, just like you looked at your mom. She's looking at you and seeing
Yeah.
how you do things. So, what do you think that you contribute to help her as a future generational woman in this new
Yeah.
environment? Because I don't even, you talk about AI too, because it's really changed. I was actually going to ask you that earlier when you were talking about what you're doing and making people better as far as a consultant, because that
Yeah.
AI has a huge aspect in our lives today. I mean, that's nothing. But before I get to AI, I wasn't even
Yeah.
talking about AI, but before I even get there, what do you feel when you talk to your sister? How can you contribute to her and her life experiences that she can be the best woman she can be as she grows as a mature adult?
Ooh, okay, you're asking me a really hard question because the first thought that comes to me is like me contribute to Gen Z. What? I don't know what I'm doing. But if I have to genuinely be honest, and mind you, she has told me this, and my mother has told me this too, that like she looks up to me and sees like
Ah,
different qualities in me, and I'm like, what? Again, I'm like, what do you mean? But I think the best ways that I can hopefully contribute to her because she's just entering the workforce. She is what, like 9 months into her first job.
hmm
And I think the best way that I can contribute is leading by example in the sense
hmm
that, as I've navigated and continue to navigate different challenges, whether it's in personal life or whether it's in the workplace, whatever it may be, by doing my best to showcase my vulnerability, but then also modeling the way in which I'm navigating it. And it's not always going to look pretty, but ultimately trying to show her that, hey, look, like you can be human, you can do certain things. But ultimately, how can we think about things in the right way? One of my, so one this year I'm trying to like make each month like a little theme for myself. And for March, what I picked for myself, which is my current work in progress, by the way, Miss Pauline, is I want to speak clearly, confidently, and cleanly, and I want to think right and think slow. So I know that's like a lot of things, but ultimately it's like how can I be um like how can I operate with integrity? How can I operate with intention? How can I be clear and confident in my speech and my behavior? And so I know I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, but I think by embodying those things, that's how I can contribute to her because she'll see it. I can't teach with words. She has to like see stuff.
And I think that, I don't know if people realize it, but that is our best um, teachable aspect of our lives, by actually living and walking the walk, talking the talk and walking the walk, really doing what we say we're going to do. Because integrity and truth are key. I mean, we've got to be honest, we've got to be intentional. And the one thing I always think is that we have to be present. You can come, but you have to listen and you have to be present with that person. There's things that they have to ask us, and we like, we may not want to even respond, but like you said, you have to think slowly before we respond, because sometimes it's not always time to say something. Sometimes it's just sit, listen, and kind of be quiet. And I don't know if people realize that sometimes, because sometimes I think we always think we have to keep saying something, and sometimes it's better to let each person kind of think about what we just said. Right? So,
Yeah. I mean, listening is or being, what is it? There's some saying about it. I'm gonna mess it up, but it's just like being a good listener is like that's a great gift.
oh, it's a gift. It's a gift. It's a gift. Because, and you know why it's a gift? Because typically when I always think about this with a couple, and I'm going to ask you about that too, when it comes to, when you balance your life, you have a personal life, a work life, and your family life. How are you able to balance all those to make sure that everything is working like it should?
Um, Continued work in progress. I think one of the things I wish I was better at compartmentalization.
Oh,
I'm not good at that. I'm so bad at it.
that's probably one of my strong suits. I compartmentalize everything.
Oh, girl, I gotta learn from you then. But yeah, so if I'm candidly answering, sometimes what happens on the work laptop does blend into how my evening goes, but I'm working really hard to kind of separate the two.
Okay. Hmm.
But in terms of the balance itself, I think the part that remains is like the qualities that we were talking about earlier. Like I want to operate with those no matter what sphere of life I'm in.
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because when you come with intention, truth, integrity, honesty, you can't lose with that. You can't lose. And so it's like, even when your sister may ask you a question that may be hard to answer, but when you go back to integrity and truth, it's easy to answer.
Yeah.
And then she's able to really receive something from it. So I think that all of us need to remember that when we're responding, just be intentional, have integrity, and have truth. So when you speak it and you say, this is what I've experienced, and let me just tell you what I've been through, so that you can probably not do maybe some of the same things, or and have a better result. That's what I'm thinking anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we think about when I think about women today and celebrating women, and because this is, International Women's History Month, um, there's so many things that we want to accomplish. What would you say? What would you like to accomplish as a woman, and something that you'd like someone to say about you, what you accomplished years down the road as part of history?
Um, you know, for me, it's not really like one thing, Miss Pauline. What it is like when I take my last breath, I want the sentiment to be that she was a really great person to be around. We felt uplifted, laughed. I felt good in her presence. That's all I really want people to be able to say when I think about like the accomplishment, so to speak. And so even like in my day to day, what I told myself many years ago is how I kind of measure the day is
Mhm.
that did I do something nice for someone or did I make someone smile? And that could be as simple as I had a 30-second engagement conversation with the barista at Starbucks. But did we say, hey, thanks so much, have a great day? And did we smile at each other? If I did that, then it was a good day. And so it's as simple as that for me.
It really is that simple too. I don't think sometimes people realize it's the small things that make a difference in someone's life. It's smiling at the little kid who's in a wheelchair when you're going to the grocery store. It's saying hi to someone who doesn't expect a hello, because we don't know what the last thing that they saw, what their last thing was. Maybe no one has spoken to them that day. So you never know. So it's so important. You know, I think when you said a great person, you want to be known as a great person to be around. I read somewhere where when people leave you, they should be better than what they came. When they leave you, they should be better than when they first came to you. So and I always love that, because if someone's around you, they should feel good when they leave. There's been times when you're around certain people and you don't feel good when you leave. You think, oh my gosh, help!
You're
But
like, ah,
so,
yeah.
so we want to be those people that left a smile on someone's face and made their day easier, because life is hard, so it makes it tough on sometimes things, but what people have to go through. So whatever we can do, but I think, like you say, the barista, they have a busy life.
Yeah.
And nobody has time to say hello to them. They just
Right, and
what I
it's a stressful job. People are upset that it had two pumps of vanilla instead of three. Who knows? But for what it's worth, Miss Pauline, like you are one of those people. I mean, there's a reason. Well, there's a reason we are still in touch 8 years later,
Oh my goodness.
across pandemics, across geographies. Like, if you were not a good person, like you know what I'm like. So you're one of those people, Miss.
Oh, well, we're both, so you are too. So that's good. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Let me just massage it in. You massage it in too. So we appreciate each other. That's really good to know. Though, thank you so much. But I think I've got a couple of easy questions to ask you.
Okay.
These are easy questions. So if you could go to dinner with one person in your life, in your entire life, who would it
Ooh,
be? One person to go to dinner with. Who would it be?
like a celebrity or
Anybody you
like
want.
that.
Anyone. It could be a celebrity. It could be spiritual leader. It could be
Ooh,
anyone. Anyone. But you can only pick one.
I can only pick
You can
one.
only pick one.
I mean, again, I'm sure so many people will say this answer, and it's because she has inspired so many people and generations, but hands down, it's Oprah. Like, I just,
Oprah. Okay.
like 100%, because I think about her story and just the legacy that she's created. When I was mentioning to you that, a lot of my spiritual exploration, sorry, started when I was like 24, 25. It was right around that time that she started Super Soul Sunday. And I
Oh,
started learning a lot watching Super Soul Sunday, which is it's on YouTube now, but she interviews a lot of folks like Eckhart Tolle and Michael Singer and a lot of these leaders who talk about like energy and vibration, and that really shifted a lot for me. And there was another thing that I remember her saying when she noticed the impact that her show was having on people, and there was like one specific episode and an instance that she refers to, and she said, ever since then, anytime my producers were bringing a topic to me, the first question I would ask them is, what is your intention? Like, what is the intention behind this? What are we trying to achieve?
mhm.
And what is that sentiment? And that's something that I incorporated. And now I'm able to tell you that, hey, I like to operate it with intention. But that was something that I learned watching her. And so, yeah, hands down.
Okay. Thank you. If there was something that you could learn, if there is something that you could learn in addition to what you already, excuse me, in addition to what you already know, what would be the one thing you would love to learn but you're not doing now or not yet?
I want to learn compartmentalization from you.
I almost want to say, no, 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 you got to have something else.
Um,
I'm wondering if I wonder if we're just, well, that's a whole nother thing. Because I'm thinking, is that something that we naturally have, or do we learn to do it? I don't know.
if we can cultivate it. That's a good question. I think some people innately have that ability, maybe more than others, but I do think it's something that can be practiced and learned.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And then of course, like there's like kind of tactical skills that I would love to learn more. Like I still want to learn how to swim. There's like some tactical stuff like that. Like that's like kind of enjoying this life that we get to have. But when it comes to kind of the ways in which I operate and the ways that I'm living, I would love to, like compartmentalize. But what that really is saying is being more present, is being in this moment. Because if right now you and I are here having a conversation, I'm not really thinking about anything else. We're in our little compartment. So,
We are in a little compartment.
well, literally, yeah.
Well, I do want to touch a bit on your spirituality. Why don't you tell us what your spirituality and what you do for your faith?
Yeah, so I want to caveat that I do believe that spirituality and religion are fundamentally separate. When I think about religion, and particularly I come from a Hindu background, but like often it gets kind of construed as like the rituals and whatnot, which is a huge part of it and a part that did contribute to my faith and my upbringing. But when I think about spirituality, it is this faith in something bigger. And these rituals are a way of honoring and kind of recognizing that and helping to further that. But for me, like I wake up every morning. It's meditation and journaling. I try to do that for at least 20 minutes. I listen to various podcasts or YouTube talks and things like that, because it really helps to set me up for the day. I do pray to Hindu kind of gods and goddesses, but it's more of, again, a faith in something bigger. And then, as I go through my day, now and then, if I have pockets of time, we'll try to tap into something like that. But then again, before bed, trying to take at least 10 minutes to kind of journal, or I write down each night, I write down all the good things that happened that day.
Mm, mm.
So, like, even for what it's worth, got my journal right here. Um,
Ah,
so, I try to do that every night before bed. I do try to detach from technology at least like 30 minutes before bed. Uh,
mm.
but that's kind of I guess, the high level.
Okay. Then my last question is, what is your favorite thing to do? What is your favorite thing to do?
Oh, I love working out. I love exercising.
Really? I need
Yeah.
to learn that from you. I need to learn that from
Oh
you.
my gosh, like I love it. I love running. I'm into strength training, so I lift now. I'm usually blasting either EDM, like electronic dance music, or Bollywood as I'm at the gym. And that's, you were asking about things I'd love to learn to do. I want to dance. I want to dance more. You're the one that taught me, and I even have a reminder on my calendar every Thursday. I was like, it's my weekly dance break. I got to text Miss Pauline. I have been so delinquent on it because I'm quite inhibited in my own body and free movement. But for me, exercise running is like structured movement. So I do that really well. But I want to be more free flowing.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one because I think we all need to. It's funny you say that because recently I realized I had stopped dancing.
Oh,
I don't know what I was thinking, but I had stopped dancing. And I thought, wait a minute, Paul, you always dance at night. Why are you not dancing? I don't know what stopped it, but I started back. I
I
started
will be texting you this Thursday. I'm going to do it.
as much as I can. I really try to. I'm really getting serious about that. Okay, well, listen, Divya, I think that's all the questions I have for you today. Well, today, this is, yeah. Next time we'll talk about something else. Let's see. Um, let's see. Do I have anything else? Oh, let's real quick. What are your thoughts about AI?
Um, you know, it's interesting because I work in tech and I work in a place where, we're like, we should really be embracing it. I would put myself on the slower adopter curve where I do use it for work. I do use it a bit in my personal life, whether it's planning travel or figuring out, hey, I have these three ingredients in the fridge. What can I make with them? But I don't think I use it as proficiently as some of the other folks. What I do believe is that I think there's a balance in embracing it. I think AI is really good, except if I use it as a substitute for lack of a better term, using my brain,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
will atrophy, and because use it or lose it, right? And I think a lot of times AI can be seen as a substitute for us actually coming up with unique thoughts or original content and original things. And so I think it's important to continue to like cultivate my thought processes and coming up with stuff, and then I'll use AI to refine it and to
Yeah.
make it better. And to, I think it's really important that I'm learning from AI. If I'm using it as a substitute, no good. If I'm using it to help me learn, right on, let's do it. So that's kind of where I am. Yeah, that's just my personal.
Well, well, I do something very similar because when I'm when I'm at work and I'm having to write something, I'll just copy it in there. I'll say rephrase, rephrase, and usually it sounds totally really good. But sometimes they don't change it that much, and then I'm like, oh, I'm proud. Okay, I did good. I did okay. So it's interesting how you look at it, but it is helpful though, especially because
Oh yeah.
I'm not technical, and when I want technical language, it tells me.
It's
So
very helpful. Yeah, like even today I was using it because I'm crafting some, funnily enough, AI learning pads for some of the folks in our organization. So I was like, okay, I had a high level draft. I was like, okay, help me refine this. And it had some amazing suggestions.
yeah,
It's
it
great.
does.
It's great. I just think as long as I needed to have come up with the draft on my own. Because if I didn't do that, for me it comes back to my integrity a little bit. Like I'm like I gotta like come up with something and feed it. And
Yeah.
that's good. I don't want it to do it from scratch. And that's like a
Yeah,
personal problem.
but I hate the part about that is though I really hate having to type all that. So I'm trying to figure to copy and paste and then do it that
Yeah.
way. So I don't. But anyway, well, Divya, thank you. I really do appreciate you taking this time with me. This is my
I feel so honored. Are you kidding?
oh gosh. Well, thank you. I really do appreciate your time, and I wish you the best in your career. And I'm looking forward to see the big things that you're going to do in your life. So it's going to be good. So I'm really excited for you. Anyway, you take care of yourself, and I will talk to you later.
Thank you, Miss Pauline.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.